MeMonster.
Chapter 91. Thursday, after classes ended, I stood in front of the Dorm 2 entrance. Dorm 2 was the girls' dorm, so it was the last place I expected to visit, but I had no other choice. If I didn't get this over with today, it would be too late. The class competition started tomorrow, and after that, everyone would be busy preparing for midterms in 2 weeks. I wouldn't be busy, but the person I planned to meet would be. Taking a deep breath, I walked into Dorm 2's pretty entrance. Not long after, I ran into someone unexpected. She wore comfortable clothes and seemed to be on her way to the library. I greeted her. "Rachel, she." She looked surprised. "Are you going to the library?" Yes. "What are you doing here?" I have something to do." I replied with a smile, then looked at her carefully. During exam periods, she looked a bit different. Her hair was more disheveled and unkempt. She seemed to be pushing herself, probably because I was her competitor. "Oh, right, you haven't been asking me any questions lately." I thought I should try to solve them myself before seeking help. Also, Hajin she needs to study too. "Oh, really? If you're having trouble, you can always ask me. I'm fine with it." Rachel nodded silently. I wanted to go with her to the library, but I didn't have time. "Then you should get going. I'll see you tomorrow." "Yes." Rachel trotted off, seemingly in a hurry to get to the library. Did she want to study that much? In any case, I headed deeper into the dorm. My destination was a pavilion near room 201. Someone was already waiting there. As I approached, she waved lightly. "You're here." Yu Yunha greeted me with a bright smile. As always, her casual clothes were black. Her white skin contrasted with her black blouse and skirt. "Yeah. So, why did you call me?" she asked, eyes full of interest. The reason was simple. It was about the ginseng I found in Suwon with Kim Soo-ho, a 5-year-old ginseng. I had thought carefully about how to use it. I didn't plan on selling it, since I had more than enough money now. The best use would be to produce medicine. But I lacked the connections and equipment. I even tried using Stigma's magic power, but 2 streaks weren't nearly enough. "You made a pharmaceutical firm, right?" Yu Yunha flinched at my straightforward question. But anyone could have found out. Most people in Cube already knew she was doing business. "It's been about 2 months. My close acquaintances all know about it." "What about it?" Yu Yunha's pharmaceutical firm was destined to succeed. I had Kim Hosub do a quick background check, and it seems things weren't going well at the moment. She had the researchers and equipment, but lacked materials. It was understandable. For Yu Yunha, finding a proper ginseng digger would be difficult. Most skilled diggers already had exclusive contracts with giant pharmaceutical companies, and those companies wouldn't flinch at Essence of the Straits' name. Still, pharmaceutics was a huge industry in this world, so Yu Yunha wouldn't give up. Eventually, her firm would become one of the top 3 pharmaceutical companies thanks to the connections she always valued. It would only take 10 years. "Here." I tossed her the ginseng. Yu Yunha caught it, looking confused. When she realized what it was, her jaw dropped. With this, I hoped I could be considered one of her connections. It's a 5-year-old ginseng. Use it for research and you can pay me back later with a high-quality medicine." That's what I said. The person in charge of Yu Yunha's firm, if I remembered right, had the gift researcher. With it, he never forgot a technique he learned. I wouldn't have to wait long for high-intermediate medicines. Yu Yunha looked between me and the ginseng, then put it away. "Where did you get this? Ginseng don't appear often in the market these days." She flinched again. The market she meant was Violet Banquet, the black market. She started to sweat a little bit, and I smirked. "It's possible, right?" Yes, of course. I'll even pay you back with interest. It'll take a while, though." "That's fine." I gave her a thumbs up. Yu Yunha stared at me, then smiled mischievously. "By the way, have you prepared for the singing competition?" "Yeah, I picked a song and went to a rehearsal this morning." "This morning?" "Yeah, that's why I wasn't in class for the morning announcements." Cube even hired professional musicians for the class competitions. They all had gifts related to music and arranged my song in under an hour. "Whew, then can I look forward to it?" Yu Yunha seemed amused at the thought of me singing, but I replied confidently. Yeah? Look forward to it. It'll go beyond your expectations. Suddenly, Yu Yunha's smartwatch vibrated. It was a call. She glanced at it, then looked back at me. I'll take my leave now. Yes. Thank you. I'll return today's favor threefold, in the future. As I turned to leave, Yu Yunha picked up the call with her earphones, but I grew curious about the call's content, so I strained my ears. My gift, observation, and reading activated, letting me eavesdrop. Yes, I'm in Daihun Hospital. Nurses are saying that Che Ji-yoon's finger just moved. I stopped by to check if it was true. Hearing this, my feet stopped. I quickly turned to Yu Yunha. Really? Yes, but... hold on a minute. Yu Yunha put the call on hold and glanced at me. I asked without caring about being tactful. What's it for? Well, just networking? I see. What's up with that face? I turned away without answering. A stinging pain hit my temple. I walked in a daze, pondering. Che Ji-yoon's finger moved. Of course, it might have been a mistake by the nurses, or just a simple convulsion, but regardless, this news made my heart pound. After walking for a while, I found a bench and sat down, lost in thought. The point the seed germinates. I needed to know the specific time. Now that I was anxious, I remembered the Book of Truth. I opened it and asked, when will the devil's seed in Che Ji-yoon germinate? The Book of Truth didn't answer. Stigma's magic power wasn't enough. I broadened the question. Give me an approximate estimate on how much the devil's seed in Che Ji-yoon has developed. This time, both streaks were drained. The number 89% appeared on the page. 89%. Assuming the seed had a 5-year incubation period, I only had half a year left. Half a year. 6 months. Before the end of winter and the return of spring. That was it. I didn't have much time. With a stiff face, I checked my smartwatch. When will you contact me again? Boss's message appeared. CUBE's first-year class competitions begins now. The first-year cadets' long-awaited class competitions finally began. The first day started with a soccer tournament. Everyone from Veritas class went out to cheer for the 11 classmates who were participating. While most cadets were happy to skip Phenomenon Realm Analysis class, the soccer match began. Wow!
That was my reaction after watching for just 20 minutes. I was glad I wasn't participating. It was that intense. Even though using magic power was forbidden, cadets' physical abilities far surpassed normal humans. For these monsters who could run 100 meters in 3 seconds, a normal soccer match was impossible. The soccer ball and players flew back and forth. I watched this Wuxia World Soccer match like a movie. Suddenly, Rachel, sitting next to me, poked my shoulder. I turned. Rachel looked at me and mumbled. Yes? Today's singing. What about it? What song am I singing? Rachel nodded. She seemed worried, maybe even scared. Was she worried I'd fail? How kind. I smiled. Have you heard of If? Yes? She didn't seem to know it. I couldn't blame her. If was a song released in 2008. Because I mentioned a couple real singers when writing this novel, Taeyeon existed in this world too. Naturally, her song If also existed. Although it was a female artist's song, I chose it because I empathized with the lyrics, especially the line, I'm afraid to meet because of the goodbye that would come in the future. Rachel C. probably hasn't heard of it. It was released in 2008. 2008? I think so. I had to lower the key, but the musicians Cube hired made all the arrangements. They even praised me, calling me a great singer. Whoa! At that moment, the crowd cheered. I looked and saw Kim Soo-ho celebrating a goal. Now that I think about it, the class competitions were a way to make Kim Soo-ho shine. Then I noticed Che Na-yeon sitting in the front, happily cheering. A part of me felt uneasy. Did Che Na-yeon hear the news? Did she know her older brother would wake up in half a year? At that moment, Che Na-yeon turned and met my eyes. I gave her a weak smile, then turned away. Time passed, and the 90-minute soccer match ended. Our class was the obvious winner. Kim Soo-ho and Shin Jung-hak scored 3 and 2 goals respectively, and the opponent didn't score once thanks to Yi Yihan's miraculous saves and Kim Ho-rak's stalwart defense. Outdoor competitions continued until 5 p.m. Afterwards, cadets moved to the indoor auditorium for the final event, the singing competition. In the auditorium, which could hold 4,000 people, second and third-year cadets were also present. Ah, right. Class competitions are only for first years. That's why there are so many seniors here. Chae Na-yeon, looking around, finally realized why there were so many upperclassmen. Yu Yu-ha replied lightly, "Yeah, our second-year seniors can't participate even if they wanted to, so they're spectating instead." Is Kim Soo-ho really going to represent our class? Chae Na-yeon looked around. Kim Soo-ho was nowhere to be seen. He was likely in the waiting room, and Chae Na-yeon couldn't help but worry. No matter how much she thought about it, Kim Hajin didn't seem like someone who could sing well. He looked like the stereotypical tone-dead person. Wouldn't he just embarrass their class? He looked confident. He told me to look forward to it, so I am. Yu Yu-ha snickered and turned to the stage. The MC appeared. After some small talk, the singing competition started at exactly 6 o'clock. The first on stage was Neely, a female American cadet from the world class. I chose a song called Promise. Neely sang an R&B song called Promise. Oh, I know this song. Chae Na-yeon got excited. It was one of her favorites. Neely met expectations, heating up the atmosphere with her explosive voice and vibrato. She's got to be the first-place winner. Yeah, she's a great singer. Kim Soo-ho replied to Chae Na-yeon's mutter, having approached before she noticed. Oh, Kim Soo-ho, when did you get here? Just now. So when is Hajin coming up? I don't know. After Neely, a Chinese cadet from cultivation class named Jin Hae-rim sang Sad Day, another song with high notes. The next cadet did the same. All the representatives chose songs with high notes and powerful climaxes. The competition continued and eventually reached the 9th stage. My ears. Chae Na-yeon and many others were growing tired of hearing the same kind of songs. Then, tuck, tuck, Kim Hajin walked up to the stage with resounding footsteps. He was dressed nicely, unlike usual. His black jacket and jeans suited him, and he seemed taller than usual, as if he had shoe inserts. Ooh, look at Hajin! Kim Soo-ho's mouth was practically hanging on his ears as he watched Kim Hajin. Chae Na-yeon was dumbstruck by Kim Soo-ho's reaction. Please introduce yourself, the MC prompted. Until then, the audience was still noisy. Maybe because the 8th contender sang so well, everyone was busy talking and not paying attention to Kim Hajin. However, I'm Kim Hajin from the Veritas class. A single sentence from Kim Hajin silenced the crowd. His voice on the microphone was surprisingly pleasant. I prepared a song called If. If? Yes. I don't think many people have heard of it. It was released in 2008. The audience began to stir. What? 2008? Is it Trot? Is he just trying to get attention? 2008. That was when first-year cadets were born. Hearing that the music was from almost 2 decades ago, most cadets thought it was old-fashioned. But Kim Hajin remained calm and began. Then I'll start. The lights went out, except for the stage light on Kim Hajin. A monotone piano accompaniment began. Soon, Kim Hajin's breath melted into the piano sound. If I were to go, the first line of the song rang out. That was enough. That single line scattered the audience's complaints. His soft vocals seemed to embrace the auditorium. First line, second line. As the slow song progressed, the auditorium grew quieter until his voice filled the huge space. Because I'm like a fool and can only watch you from afar. With his eyes closed, Kim Hajin recited the lyrics as if savoring them. There wasn't a single high note or fancy technique. However, his beautiful voice captivated the entire audience. Heavy, delicate, sweet, and temperate, everyone held their breath, savoring the moment. His voice! Chae Na-yeon murmured in a daze. Goosebumps rose on her arms and her eyes fixed on Kim Hajin. His voice seemed to flutter before her, shining so brilliantly that she felt she could touch it if she reached out. Because Because I'm afraid of the sadness and hurt that comes after our meeting. The final line was the nail in the coffin. A cold falsetto perfectly melded into the heated atmosphere. Even after the song ended, the audience was in a daze, as if waking from a dream. Soon, applause erupted. But Chae Na-yeon stayed still, unmoving. The song no one had heard before was brilliantly perfected by Kim Hajin. Its lyrics lingered in her ears. "Thank you." Kim Hajin smiled bashedly and bowed to the audience. At that moment, his eyes met Rachel's. For some reason, Rachel's eyes were wet with sorrow. "This music is pretty sad." Thinking so, Kim Hajin smiled lightly. But behind Rachel was Chae Na-yeon. When he saw her, his smile faded and he turned away, feeling a bit uncomfortable.
Soon, he received an alert on his smartwatch. You obtain 98 SP. Luck bonus activates. You obtain 15% additional SP. Chapter 92. The singing competition ended, and the results were announced before the echoes of music faded. Kim Ha-jin, from Veritas class, didn't win first or even second place. He came in fourth. Although his song choice and voice were impressive, the judges still graded based on how well contestants hit the high notes. However, Kim Ha-jin was undoubtedly the #1 topic among the cadets. His performance was already uploaded and gaining views on several cadets' social media accounts. It feels like I went to a concert. Right? Who was your favorite? Kim Ha-jin, Nae Lee, and Harem. But Kim Ha-jin really surprised me. I heard he goes out a lot. Maybe he learned to sing at karaoke's. Rachel was still sitting in the auditorium, listening to the other cadets' conversations. She needed time to sort through the complicated thoughts swirling in her mind. Today, Kim Ha-jin gave a good performance. He didn't confess to her, as many had speculated he would. She'd been having trouble sleeping lately, plagued by nightmares about it. She was relieved that it was finally over. It was a meaningful song. Maybe he realized I was avoiding him. Now that I think about it, I've been too obvious lately. There's no way he wouldn't have noticed. Feeling guilty, Rachel let out a small sigh. What are you doing here? A strong voice interrupted her thoughts. Rachel slowly turned her head toward the sound. Chae Na-yeon stood there pointing at the exit. Aren't you leaving? Only then did Rachel notice her surroundings. The auditorium was already empty. Ah. Rachel stood up and began walking to the exit. Chae Na-yeon watched her with a strange gleam in her eyes, then followed. It was already 10 p.m., and darkness blanketed the world outside. Rachel trudged forward, her face full of worries. Chae Na-yeon glanced at her sideways, then went ahead to join some cadets waiting for her. Chae Na-yeon, where are you going next? Back to my room. After replying briefly, she looked around. By the way, where did he go? Who? Kim Ha-jin. Yoo Yeon-ha answered. He went that way, to the church. Church? Yep. Cube also had religious facilities to support cadets from various backgrounds. Most religious cadets were Protestants, and some were so devout that they wanted to become priests in the future. Why a church? I don't know. Why? Does it bother you? Oh, please. Chae Na-yeon replied indifferently, but kept glancing at Rachel, who was walking towards the dorms. For the record, the dorms were in the opposite direction of the church. Well, if you're not doing anything else, I'm going to bed. Shin Jung-hak yawned. He had participated in 3 competitions today: soccer, dungeon speedrun, and a duel. He was understandably exhausted. Chae Na-yeon waved her hand as if to say, I don't need you. Yes, please just go back and sleep. Yoo Yeon-ha watched Chae Na-yeon's odd mood with interest. Na-yeon, what are you going to do? Nothing. Just going to play some games before bed. You're not going to the church, right?
Why would I go there? I've never believed in any religion. Che Na-yun rumbled, looking uncomfortable. I sat down on a worship chair. The wood creaked under my weight. I stared at the cross hanging in front of me. A dark light shone through the stained glass at the side. I turned my gaze. The colorful art on the glass glistened in the darkness. This was the sanctuary of God, a holy place for confession and atonement. Sitting in this huge chapel, reflecting on myself, I expected to feel some reverence or holiness. Or so I thought, but, well, there's nothing special. I scratched the back of my neck. There wasn't any grand reason I came to the church. In movies, main characters often visited a church when they were troubled, and then they'd suddenly find their direction in life. But it seemed that only happened in movies. Or maybe it was because I was an extra, not a main character. In any case, the silence just made me sleepy. After a big yawn, I looked at my smartwatch again. You might have to kill a person, but you will receive a hefty reward. You won't have to worry about hiding your identity. As Geronimo Mercenary's apprentice, we will guarantee your identity will be kept a secret. If you want, we can extend this guarantee even when you become an official mercenary. This was the reply she sent to my question, how much will working there pay? To be honest, I wasn't short on money. I only asked to play along with their methods. Boss was socially inept and only knew how to appease people with money. Mercenary. Anyone could become a mercenary by law. They could even hold the position alongside another job. I heard many heroes worked as mercenaries part-time because they needed money. About 50 to 100 Q graduates and probably half of the cadets who dropped out ended up as mercenaries. It wasn't a bad choice for me. Chameleon Troop participated in major events like artifact scrambles and conquering the Tower of Dimension. If I joined them, I wouldn't have to worry about straying from the main storyline. And most importantly, I would be able to kill Che Jin-yoon without difficulty. Even if he was a third-generation chaebol, 5 years had passed since he fell into a coma. Security around him should have gotten loose. But still, the fact that I had to kill someone weighed on my mind. Chameleon Troop would continue to kill many people. The only difference between them and evil society is that Chameleon Troop didn't kill needlessly. But in the end, they still killed and plundered. Would I be able to commit these crimes? I had doubts. This world was no longer just a world inside a novel. While I was pondering with my eyes closed, I heard the door creak open. I slowly opened my eyes. Footsteps approached, and soon someone sat down next to me. "Are you Christian?" The voice echoed in the church. I glanced to the side and grinned. "No. What about you?" He gazed at the cross as he answered, "No, me neither." Despite what he said, Kim Soo-ho's eyes held a hint of reminiscence. Then what's that meaningful look? Oh, I didn't notice. You looked like a devout believer. I would have believed you if you said you wanted to become the Pope. Haha, please. Kim Soo-ho laughed and shook his head. Then suddenly serious, he asked, "But Hajin," he spoke with unconcealed sorrow and nostalgia, "what do you think of Dai?"
Do you think there are other worlds? You know, like Lord of the Rings? Tolkien died in 1973. As Outcall happened around that time, Tolkien's work stood as a timeless masterpiece in this world. Without meeting Kim Soo-ho's eyes, I looked at the cross in front of me. The crucified Son of God entered my gaze. Outcall happened 50 years ago. Even without looking through Earth's history and just looking at Anno Domini, you'll see there were no monsters in this world for 1970 years. I faced Kim Soo-ho again. So rather than saying monsters suddenly appeared on Earth, it makes more sense to say beings from another world crossed over to ours.
Kim Soo-ho was silent. I wondered what he was thinking. In truth, Kim Soo-ho and I had similar circumstances, but he came to this world when he was young and even had another family. Unlike me, he didn't have to feel lonely. He probably only missed his family back home every once in a while. Kim Soo-ho's lips moved slowly. Then, that's part of the otherworld theory presented by Dr. Jarris. I shrugged and cut him off. Kim Soo-ho jumped slightly in surprise, then laughed. Ah, is that one of the theories explaining outcall? Yeah, it's criticized for being groundless, but I think it's convincing. Outcall happened out of the blue. I think it's stupid to use logic to explain something illogical. I guess so. We fell silent, but it wasn't uncomfortable. Then I grew curious and broke the silence. Oh, right. Are you using Mistletoe well? Of course. Just like you suggested, I've been going out hunting monsters. I feel like it's gotten harder. Haha, really? Then, in the future, let's go together to find better equipment. By the way, you don't have an agent, right? I'll introduce you one. Kim Soo-ho had to get stronger. He needed to be faster and stronger than in the original story. In a way, Kim Soo-ho was my only way to deal with uncertain dangers. My goal was to finish the main story, but it didn't have to be me who finished it. Even if I died, if Kim Soo-ho could continue the main story. Kim Soo-ho interrupted my thoughts. An agent, huh? By the way, what could be better than Mistletoe? Who knows? The world is big and full of artifacts. With that, I stood up. I'd been here long enough and thought about my worries more than enough. I'll leave first. Oh, okay. I'm going to stay here a little longer. See you later. I left the church, leaving Kim Soo-ho behind. 3 a.m. It was now Saturday. Victory. Looking at the text in front of me, I breathed a sigh of relief. I almost lost this time. If random consolidation system was just 3% lower, I would have been defeated. Wow, you're amazing as expected, Hyungnim. I went all out this time too. I almost lost. You're getting stronger by the day. I might not be able to win anymore after a couple months. Jajangman messaged me. I couldn't sleep, so I put on my helmet to play a match or two. Jajangman happened to be up, so I ended up playing 7 matches with him. True, I've been getting stronger quickly. Jajangman and I were close enough to call each other brothers, probably because I could act my real age, 26, online. Why are you up so late? I changed the topic. It was already 3 a.m. I'd beaten him 7 times in a row and was getting sleepy. Oh, well, something happened today. I can't fall asleep. What happened? It's not really something I should say. Oh, from the looks of it, it was a relationship problem. Well, Jajangman was a teenager, so he was at that age. Half his life should be about friends, the other half about girls. I couldn't help but feel a little jealous. After all, I had to worry about killing someone or finding a way home. Tell me, I'm 8 years older than you, so I have more life experience. Well, it's nothing big, just that, yeah? It's like you don't really want it, but you don't want someone else to have it either. Aha, I get it. This guy, he's the popular type. So are you the one on the receiving end? Well, I can't say I'm experienced with giving things out. Why does he sound so much like a jerk today? I smirked and replied. But why so suddenly? No reason, just that it's been on my mind recently. On your mind? Yes. So, that person sang in a talent show we had today. I think the song was aimed at me. Whoa. A girl appealing to a guy with a song? She must be assertive. Or maybe Jajangman was just really handsome. Then can't you just accept her feelings? No, I don't think that's right. Why not? What if someone else steals her away? You might regret it later. This was from experience. As a 26-year-old, I'd had relationships, and I knew girls who had crushes on me. At the time, I rejected them because I wasn't interested. But when I saw them with other guys later, I always felt a bit sour.
I even remember thinking, that girl used to like me, like a loser. Wow, you're saying the same thing as my friend, but I don't really think I'll regret it. Of course you don't feel that way now, but you will later. Plus, didn't you say she was on your mind? Just a little bit. No, a tiny bit. Just a little bit. No, a tiny bit. From this, I could tell he was proud and didn't like losing. He really was still young. You have to lose sometimes to avoid regrets later. But doesn't the fact that you're staying up late because of her contradict what you're saying? Yes? No. No, right? Trust me, I've been through the same thing. From today, you'll suddenly only see her good points. Once she gets a boyfriend, it will be too late. After sending that message, I waited for his reply. 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. No matter how long I waited, there was no reply. Did he fall asleep? Damn, I was wondering what he planned to do. I checked the in-console clock. It was already 3:40. Time for me to sleep. I hurriedly took off the helmet and fell onto my bed.
Chapter 93. Saturday's class competitions began with archery. Just like the soccer match, a large crowd gathered at Cube's archery range. In this world, archery was an extreme sport, so many people wanted to see it. It wasn't just about shooting at a distant target. What fun would it be to shoot targets 1 kilometer away which ordinary people couldn't even see? Here, distance records had little meaning. Instead, archery competitions included all sorts of magical effects and summoned monsters to hinder the archers. These effects made the sport thrilling for the audience. Naturally, being a professional archer brought great honor and wealth. Currently, I was sitting in the waiting room watching the archery match outside. The rules were simple. 2 archery representatives stood in their own 75-meter-wide lanes. Each had only 1 chance, and the final score was the farthest distance reached. However, the competition wasn't a tournament. Since each match cost a surprising amount of money, representatives from each class only participated in 1 match. There were 6 matches in total, with 2 representatives per match. Rankings from 1st to 12th place were determined by the scores achieved. The 5th match ended. The first-place record was only 320 meters. I would soon find out why. The last match will be between Veritas class and Virtue class. Representatives, please come out. A staff member called me. I was Veritas class's representative, Kim Hajin. Virtue class's representative was a French cadet named Bear Morin. I knew Morin. He was one of the top sharpshooters in Cube. In the future, he would join Creator's Sacred Grace and often oppose Kim Suho, though he'd eventually side with him. In pure archery skill, he surpassed Che Na-yoon. I glanced at Morin and checked my gift's proficiency grade. Master Sharpshooter. Intermediate rank. Spirit attribute. Evolving, grade 6. Proficiency experience, 27%. Its growth had halted at grade 6, and the proficiency experience was low. Although I was slightly worried, I wasn't confident, in losing, that is. Yes, the representatives are coming. Cadet Kim Ha-jin, Cadet Bear Morin, please head out to the field. I left the waiting room with my bow hanging on my back. Noon. The sunlight shone down directly, leaving no shade. Che Na-yoon sat with a bag of popcorn and a can of Coke. Why are there so many magicians? She murmured, looking around the archery range. She had spent most of her morning wandering the school, then arrived at the range with food when it was Kim Ha-jin's turn. She was surprised by how many robed magicians were present. An 8-star magician is coming today. They're probably here to see her, Yu Yin-ha said, pointing to the VIP observatory. Oh, magician Ah Hae-in. Ah Hae-in was a French-born 8-star magician who became a naturalized Korean citizen at age 11. As one of the world's 300 8-star magicians, he was young and extremely beautiful. Though his personality was described in strange ways, he was practically an idol to young magicians. I heard she was coming, so this is where she was. I wondered why I could feel the earthquake from so far away. Earthquakes were the most common magic effect in competitive archery.
There were also summoned monsters and plant traps, which Chain Ayun looked forward to seeing. She couldn't wait to see Kim Hajin suffer. Next is Veritas class's representative, Kim Hajin, and Virtue class's representative, Bear Morin. Oh, it's our class's turn. Chain Ayun looked at the range, popcorn in hand. Kim Hajin and Bear Morin came out side by side. They shook hands, then split into their own lanes. Yu Yinha observed Kim Hajin's movements, chin resting on her hand. Kim Hajin stepped on the archery plate, exuding confidence. Looks like we have nothing to worry about. The class competitions were a matter of pride for cadets. Veritas class was the favored winner, so every loss stung because of their pride and sense of belonging. It was similar to how Koreans felt about international competitions. By the way, what is he mumbling? Chain Ayun asked, furrowing her brows. Yu Yinha turned her gaze to the competitors. Indeed, Bear Morin was saying something to Kim Hajin. I guess trash talk? Bear Morin is supposedly sly and ill-tempered. Oh, really? Yu Yinha rarely gave false information, so Chain Ayun believed her. Now that I look closely, it does look like he's provoking Kim Hajin. I see. Morin is a piece of trash. In the VIP observatory, Ah-Hain sat surrounded by decorations and food to honor the 8-star magician. Grand Duchess Ah-Hain, is that your nephew? A 5-star magician, her attendant, asked carefully. Unofficially, yes. Officially, I'm the founder of the Ah clan, so I have no relatives. Ah-Hain grinned as she looked down at the range. Part of her reason for coming was to see her nephew. He stood out, especially next to the average-looking guy. The young magician looked at her in admiration, then spoke with a trembling voice. Ah, it's starting. Is it? Ah-Hain placed her hand on an orb on a platform in front of her. I just need to continue what I did before, right? Yes, you can start with a light earthquake. I can do what I want starting from the 350-meter range, right? Since no one has reached 350 meters yet? Yes, but the obstacles have to be the same for both lanes. Ah-Hain laughed at the admonishment. Then she shot back, Would I be able to do that? Don't you know how much I cherish my nephew? Well, it's not a test, but a small festival for cadets. I'm sure it doesn't matter what you do. Do as you wish, Grand Duchess. Cadets will feel honored just by having you participate. The subordinate magician showed excessive loyalty. There was good reason. 8-star magicians were nobles among nobles, with only 87 in Korea. The title Grand Duchess wasn't just for show. Since class competitions had several events, offering a single archery event as a bribe wouldn't cause problems. If the Grand Duchess came to Cube as a guest lecturer in exchange, it would be a huge boon. If you say so, Ah-Hain smiled, satisfied. Damn it. There was a reason the first-place cadet only reached 320 meters. I had just passed the 250-meter mark, but my legs were sore. The earthquake that shook the ground beneath me was the cause. Wow, you're pretty good. I guess it's true you have a specialized gift, Morin said from next to me. He looked relaxed. Naturally, I doubted what was happening. The obstructive effects were clearly different when I was shooting compared to him. Tisk, you sure are relaxed. Are you sure it's not you who just trained lazily? He kept provoking me with a smile, making it more irritating. I opened my eyes wide and stared at the observatory where the magician in charge should be. With my 1,000-mile eyes, I saw a Western woman using magic inside. Her red hair and white skin stood out. On her black cape were 8 golden stars, and a magician stood next to her, flattering her.
I knew only one woman with such a setting, Ah-Hain. Thinking about it, she had some relationship with Morin. I stealthily turned on my smartwatch and opened my settings book. Aha. Hey, your aunt is over there. Are you going to go say hi afterwards? Huh? What do you mean? Morin's expression and voice feigned ignorance, but the corner of his mouth curled up. This guy definitely knew what was going on. Your aunt keeps harassing me. What do you mean? Are you making excuses because you think you're going to miss? Just hurry up and shoot, please. I raised my bow. Immediately, an earthquake broke out beneath me. It wasn't just an earthquake. Hail began to hammer down from the sky. I was now at the 300-meter mark. A new trial was beginning. The hail struck my shoulders and fingers, blocking my vision. It was cold and painful. However, my desire to win grew stronger. I focused all my senses on my bow and target. Tang! The arrow shot forward and hit its mark. Wow! Congrats! Next was Morin's turn. The hail falling on him was small and soft. If the hail I faced was like 228 centimeters, 521 kilogram hulks, his were like Evandels. Morin hit his mark without difficulty. It's your turn next. The favoritism continued. I could only smile forcefully and push forward. In the end, I reached the 350-meter mark after much effort. Both sides have surpassed the first-place record. From the 350-meter mark, the target will move 50% faster and the participants' turn order will change. In other words, Byray Morin will go first. Morin sighed as he raised his bow. He seemed nervous. I wondered what the next obstacle would be. As I watched the lanes, half worried and half expectant, huge vines suddenly shot up from the ground. "Whoa! What's this?" Morin shouted in surprise. 10-meter-tall vines shot up as if to swallow the entire lane. Some swirled around him, then, quang! Slammed down next to him. However, Morin remained poised. All archers cultivated patience and calm. Unless he stepped off the archery plate, he didn't need to worry about being attacked. The vines acted warm to him, swaying gently, almost as if fanning him. Still, Morin failed. Under the pressure of earthquakes and hail, he couldn't hit the target that moved 50% faster. This was his limit. Morin regrettably misses his target. It was my turn again. To be honest, I was worried. I raised my bow, swallowing my fear. As expected, the vines became fiercer. They swayed gently for Morin, but now they thrashed violently. I stopped thinking for a moment. Anyone could see the favoritism, but I could tear through it. In a way, I also had incredible backing. Lady Luck. I knocked an arrow and pulled the bowstring. Immediately, the vines became even more agitated, as if they'd just been dumped by their lovers. I could feel their rage. It was time for me to get serious. I activated bullet time. Instantly, the world slowed. The target shot up from 350 meters away. But no matter how I looked at it, I couldn't hit that target. The angle was impossible. The target flew through the air, and the monster vines blocked the path. I was running out of time. The target could disappear at any moment. I tightened my grip and bit my lips. In a situation where I couldn't use magic power, could I shoot an arrow through those vines with precise control? Just as I was about to give up, a thought flashed through my mind. Scan. I murmured silently. I scanned my bow and arrow. The numbers 40 and 41 popped up. The elasticity of the bowstring, the flexibility of the arrow, every concept making up the two objects was strengthened. I opened my eyes wide and peered through the vines at the target. Tracing the predicted trajectory, I nocked an arrow, leaning slightly to the right. Then, I pulled the bowstring. Shweek! The arrow flew forward, bending in a strange way. It flew right, dodging all obstacles, then curled left before flying straight like a bullet. The result was obvious. Veritas Class's Kim Hajin, he succeeds on the 350-meter mark. The hell? How did that arrow bend? Morin stared in shock. Did you use magic power? You think your aunt wouldn't have known if I did? Then what? I tossed my bow in front of me. Now that I'd taken first place despite blatant favoritism, I felt the need to make things clear. This is the difference in our league. I turned and checked my smartwatch. I felt it just now. 100%. I had to have received a gift. I knew it. Several alerts appeared on the smartwatch. You performed a curving arrow. Master Sharpshooter's proficiency EXP increases by 15%. Low-rank gift Curve Shot has been added to Master Sharpshooter. Curve Shot. Long-range attacks will curve depending on the shooter's will. The extent of curving will change depending on the gift's grade and the type of weapon. The corner of my mouth twitched. Curve Shot.
another low-rank gift added to Master Sharpshooter. To reiterate, my gift's strongest point was its scope of use. Proficiency gained with a gun could be used on a bow. Likewise, a gift obtained with a bow could be used on a gun. In other words, I could now shoot curving bullets.
Chapter 94. Ordinary people might not have seen what happened, blinded by the angle. The vines filling the sky were overwhelmingly large, and Kim Hajin's arrow looked like a mere needle in comparison. However, every cadet could see what happened. Kim Hajin's arrow had clearly curved. In a way, it was a common sight, if it was a magic arrow, that is. But there was no magic power involved in Kim Hajin's archery. As such, they could hardly believe the arrow's flight path, even after seeing it with their own eyes. Rather than an arrow, it was more like a well-trained raptor, cutting through the tiny gap between the vines and striking its prey. Whoa! At that moment, Chae-na-yoon felt a rush of excitement and squeezed the popcorn bag in her hand. Popcorn shot out of the crumpled bag and fell onto the front seat like hail. Ah, fuck. What is it? Ah, sorry. You guys can eat that. Huh? Oh, sure. The cadets sitting in front of her began to munch on the popcorn. Chae-na-yoon watched them for a moment, then turned to Yu Young-ha. Hey, Yu Young-ha, you saw that, right? Hearing Chae-na-yoon's awestruck voice, Yu Young-ha grinned. Looks like he didn't want to go easy this time. Huh? What are you talking about? Yu Young-ha's eyes were fixed on the archery range as she muttered. Chae-na-yoon followed her gaze. Ah, Kim Hajin had just thrown his bow away. He seemed somewhat angry. The favoritism was too harsh. Looks like he's quite mad. Yeah, surprisingly, he has quite the temper. Oh yeah, it was too obvious from the halfway mark. Is the magician discriminating against Kim Hajin because of his looks? Hoo. Yu Young-ha barely held back her laughter. She didn't think Kim Hajin was that ugly, but it's true he was less handsome than Moren. It's not because of his looks. Grand Duchess Ahe-in must have intervened. Moren is her nephew. Ahe-in was the greatest expert in summoning magic, a master-rank magician who was given the title One-Man Army by the Magic Tower Association. She could apparently summon and control 7 high-rank monsters. As most high-rank monsters had intelligence, it was difficult to even estimate how amazing she was. Didn't Grand Duchess Ahe-in become a naturalized Korean citizen a long time ago? How can she have relatives? Moren is her old relative. Her older sister still has French citizenship. Moren is her older sister's son. Grand Duchess Ahe-in was a celebrity who proudly claimed an S-rank grade on Yu Young-ha's talent book. Naturally, Yu Young-ha knew all about Ahe-in's family background. How do you know all this? You should take some time to study too. I'm too lazy. Chae-na-yoon retorted briefly, then stared at Kim Hajin. The judge asked Kim Hajin if he wanted to participate in the 375-meter range, but Kim Hajin shook his head. Then he turned toward the crowd. At that moment, their eyes met. Kim Hajin looked at Chae-na-yoon. Although he quickly averted his gaze, Chae-na-yoon still felt something odd. She carefully placed her hand over her heart. It was beating a bit differently than usual. Chae-na-yoon couldn't help but remember what her teacher told her, that she would begin to only see his good points. No way! I'm not crazy! Chae-na-yoon laughed it off. Then, the host of the competition shouted loudly. Veritas Classes Kim Hajin succeeds at the 350-meter mark, achieving a first-place record. Clap, clap, clap. The competition ended with applause from the crowd. But as Chae-na-yoon was about to leave, she saw Kim Soo-ho heading to the waiting room. She asked Yu Young-ha, Hey, Yu Young-ha, want to go to the waiting room? No. Yu Young-ha stretched and got up. I'm busy. I have to go work. She had many things to do today. The analysis of the ginseng Kim Hajin invested in would arrive in the afternoon, and there was also a meeting planned for Falling Blossom. In this meeting, she hoped to gain even a hint about Kim Hajin's past.
That way, she could at least repay her gratitude somewhat. How do you have so much work as a cadet? I know, right? After replying quietly, she began to head back to her dorm. Waiting room, dorm. Waiting room, dorm. Jinayun hesitated between the two, and in the end, she sighed and began walking back to her dorm. Ah, the archery competition was now over. Currently, the 5-star magician was at a loss for words. Even with an incredible level of favoritism shown towards Baire Moren, it was Kim Hajin that won. In that case, how was he supposed to react? Even he wasn't so audacious to say, "I'll punish that cadet for beating the Grand Duchess's nephew." Phew. But contrary to his expectations, Ah-hae-in was full of smiles. "Why are you so scared? It's only natural that my nephew would lose against someone like him." Ha! Is that so? Of course. Anyway, I'm jealous. That's what a specialized gift is? When she was a young girl, becoming a hero was her dream. However, no matter how much effort she put in, her body wouldn't develop. Her body and gift were only specialized for magic, leaving her with no choice but to become a magician. "Tell my nephew I want to see him. I want to take him out for lunch to console him." "Yes, understood." Ah-hae-in got up. The 5-star magician bowed as he glanced up at her. She barely passed 164 centimeters thanks to the kill heels hidden under her cape, but her real height was only 151 centimeters. There was a rumor that she was even shorter, and that her official height was the result of her tiptoeing during her physical measurements. Furthermore, her small face lacked even a single wrinkle, and her eyes sparkled like a child's. The 5-star magician secretly had doubts. What sane person would believe Ah-hae-in to be 30 years old? What sane person would connect her appearance to her title, one-man army, without hesitation? Aren't most Caucasians tall? Why is the Grand Duchess so short? Even the 5-star magician's 4th-grade son seemed taller than her. It was then. Ah-hae-in suddenly turned around. She stabbed at the magician's heart with sharp eyes she never showed before. "What did you just think?" Yes, nothing. I just thought the golden stars on your cape were beautiful." Shh. Ah-hae-in lightly clicked her tongue. The magician felt a mysterious chill. Even in reality, the magic power Ah-hae-in released from her body cooled the internal temperature. "Don't stare at me when I'm standing. I don't like it." After giving the magician a sharp admonishment, Ah-hae-in left the observatory. The magician stood in a daze for a while. The only thing he knew was that the points he won by flattering her all day, even going so far as to mess with the final match, had returned to 0. Sunday, 3 a.m. At this late hour when children should have gone to bed long ago, Rachel opened her eyes in her wide bed.
Her eyes hurt, perhaps because she shut them too tightly trying to fall asleep. She sighed and sat up. The penthouse room's wide space entered her sight. Her room was huge, but empty. She had no talent for decorating, so she left the room the way it was when she received it. The only things inside were the standard furniture: a couch, a bed, and a TV. The size of the room perhaps had something to do with how empty it felt. Lately, she was plagued with insomnia. Of course, insomnia was a chronic problem ever since that incident, but lately it had become too severe. Every time she lay down to sleep, anxiety and apprehension coiled around her, and embarrassing moments from recent days rose up in her mind. Especially the mock artifact scramble. That was a class full of hurt. Even if Kim Suho was her opponent, she never expected to lose so helplessly. Furthermore, although her fight with Chae Na-yoon didn't come to a conclusion, she thought of it as her loss. After all, Chae Na-yoon had only switched to a sword a few months ago. If Kim Hajin hadn't been there, Rachel's Rising Star title might have crumbled. Kim Hajin. She stopped thinking there. Rachel turned on her smartwatch. She only had 37 numbers in her contacts. She had lived most of her life without friends. Still, she entered the one group chat she was in. There were 153 unread messages. "Kim Hajin, you little bastard, you were amazing today. How did you make that arrow curve?" "I know, right, the singing competition and now archery. Hajin hard carried the 2 events he participated in." "Oh right, Jamer, are you here?" "What? Why aren't you talking?" "I'm sick. Don't talk to me." "Oh look, there's an official video of Hajin's performance. There are already 10,000 likes." The talkative Jinho song added a link to the group chat. "What is it?" Suddenly curious, Rachel wriggled her hand up and pressed the link. In an instant, a hologram video popped up over a social media page. The title was as follows: "The Rising Star Cube Cadets Live Performance, If." Ah, it's the song Kim Hajin sang before. Rachel moved her finger to stop the video, then paused. Although she found the lyrics a bit overbearing, the song itself was good enough to listen to multiple times. Rachel let out a dry cough and hit the resume button, pretending she did so by mistake. After a calm piano melody, "If," Kim Hajin's sweet voice rang out. The music resounded in her huge room, filling up the empty space. Rachel went under the blanket and closed her eyes. Listening to music calmed her down. But he sounded much better live. His voice was clearer. Should I go buy a Bluetooth radio tomorrow? Bluetooth. That reminds me of Rome. Et tu, Brute? Rachel's random thoughts faded, and she fell asleep. Sunday, with the final dungeon speed run event, the class competitions came to an end. First place naturally belonged to Veritas class, where all the top-ranking cadets were gathered. But that didn't mean they won overwhelmingly, because other classes scored the majority of points in non-combat-oriented events like gaming, drawing, dancing, and cooking. The difference between first and second place was only about 30 points. In any case, Veritas class still won, and they held a big celebratory after-party sponsored by Xinjiang Hawk. Yummy, yummy! Of course, I didn't participate and was spending time with Evandel at home. Evandel was munching on a chicken wing next to me as I examined a document. Apprentice Mercenary Mission. Difficulty, D. Reward, 300 million Korean won or an item of equivalent value. Goal, assassinate Simons, the advisor of the chief of Colayan Fafia's Southern Torino branch. Simons is a notorious mafioso known for murder, rape, blackmail, and human trafficking. Some even say he is a djinn. This was the document sent by Geronimo Mercenary. Colayon. It was quite the coincidence. The Colayon family happened to be a mafia family that played a role in the middle parts of the main story. An apprentice mercenary is supposed to do this? Looking at the document, I felt a tinge of regret. I accepted their offer, telling myself I would write my own story, but wasn't the difficulty too high? The world outside of Cube is wild. Even if I fully prepared myself to go out, I couldn't say I really was. Let's see. Physique. 0 out of 3. For now, I planned on creating this so-called physique.
Chapter 95. Physique. By definition, physique referred to the innate physiological property or health-related trait of a person's body. In this world, the meaning was similar, almost like a gift for the body itself. Recovering quickly, absorbing mana better, having superior organ functions. There were all kinds of physiques. However, the physique I planned to create now was a bit more complex. Magic dysfunction physique. Magic dysfunction. A physique that prevents the body from emitting magic power, trapping mana inside the body. Magic dysfunction physique. A body that can't use magic power. At first, Glancing, it seemed like an undesirable negative physique, but for me that wasn't the case. Since I couldn't use the magic power in my body anyway, I wouldn't be losing anything. Stigma's magic power was a different entity from my body's magic power. That was the important part. I wasn't suffering a loss, so I could just give it up on it. Objectively, being unable to use magic power was a huge flaw, a major restriction. But by applying such a negative effect, I could gain an equally powerful positive effect at a much cheaper cost. Energy conversion. Mana stored in your body will not disappear. Instead, it will be converted into energy and stored. Stored energy can increase your physical stats up to twice their base values, but will be used up every time you move your body. This was the positive effect. Simply put, my physical stats would increase up to 2 times if I just ate and slept well. However, the stored energy would be used up with physical activity, so I would get weaker as a fight dragged on. Still, having my stats doubled could prevent me from dying in an ambush. I thought of this physique to protect myself from my greatest weakness, ambush. I could only trust my luck so much. After all, my stats were just too pitiful. Strength, 2.570. Stamina, 2.580. Speed, 3.265. Perception, 4.220. Vitality, 2.670. Magic power, 1.930. Nothing had increased by more than 0.2 points in the past month. At this rate, I'd only be in the 4 to 5 point range in 10 years. With those stats, I'd be a low-rank hero. There was no way I'd survive the main story. As such, this physique was the best way to bridge the gap. Without hesitation, I clicked on... Oh, wait. I tried changing my physique just to see. Magic Affinity Physique. You do not have enough SP. Can't you tell me how much I need? The reply came quickly. About 5,500 SP is required. Fine, fine. I changed it back to Magic Dysfunction Physique and hit Save. 500 SP will be consumed. Would you like to save? Because of the restriction of being unable to use magic power, I needed much less SP than I expected. With 500 SP, I'd have about 350 left in my bank. Currently, my singing performance was spreading through social media like wildfire, raising my SP periodically. I hit Enter. Huh? Suddenly, a golden light erupted from the laptop screen, and several messages popped up. Your special stat, Accumulation of Luck, activates. Golden characters rain down, forming words. Then a new low-rank physique appeared. Blessing in Disguise. With a certain chance, a tiny portion of your stored energy will lead to a permanent stat increase. The increased chance is affected by your invariable luck stat. The heck? I became absent-minded for a moment. It seemed like a weaker version of the getting stronger everyday gift I thought of long ago. In any case, it was free, so I had nothing to complain about. Even a 0.001 increase per day would be a net gain. Nice! Unable to hold my back joy, I hugged Evandel, who was munching on a chicken leg next to me. What is it? Evandel kept eating even in my arms. Num 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 num. She sped up, thinking I was trying to steal her food. The week after class competitions, Cube suddenly became desolate. Cadets knew exams were coming up in 2 weeks. They moved back and forth between the fitness center and the library with tired faces, looking even more dreary during class. Naturally, they were less energetic for team challenges. Days went by like this. Currently, it was Thursday after class. I stood in front of Cube's portal station. My destination was Seoul. There were things I needed to bring from Seoul before the next main story began.
While I was checking my wallet and cadet card in front of the portal station's automatic door, a voice rang out from my right hand. Hajin, Hajin! Like I said, you're not allowed to talk. It feels stuffy. Currently, Evandelv is inside a pet cage. When I told her I was going to Seoul, she threw a tantrum saying she wanted to go too, so I had no choice but to bring her along. I want to get out of here. She had transformed into a rather unique puppy. She looked like a short-haired Pomeranian, but with long golden hair growing on her head. Because of it, she looked cuter and more high class. I'll take you out once we arrive, so wait until then. Evandel whimpered instead of talking. I let out a dry cough and approached a portal worker. Oh, a star is here. That was the first thing the portal worker said. Yes? Haha, I was just listening to it. If. The portal worker laughed and showed me her watch. Kim Hajin singing competition version, if.mp3. There's an MP3 version of it? It's extracted from the video. Many people downloaded it, you know? Oh, really? Yes. You were great. The portal worker smiled as she wrote my name down. Take care, though I don't know where you're going with your pet. Ah, yes, thank you. Athenian Citizens Obsidian Bracelet, Magic Artifact. A bracelet with magic seals, used by an ancient Athenian noble. I went to the Seoul Magic Tower and brought back the obsidian bracelet I left. The bracelet now has a new magic seal, Magic Power Reinforcement. It was similar in function to key reinforcement. You'll only be able to use it once, so only use it when it's absolutely necessary. That was what the artificer told me, but that was because he didn't realize the bracelet's automatic recharge function. Still, I was impressed with his honesty. I made a note to recommend him to Yu Yone's future magic tower. Next, I went to SH Agency's office. There was something I had to pick up from Park Soo-hik. When I arrived, I was shocked by the scale of the offices. We already have 11 employees and 5 hunters with exclusive contracts. Oh, this office is thanks to Lady Yu's investment. That's great. You didn't forget what I invested, right? Of course not. I gave it in stocks. I'll multiply it tenfold and give it back. Oh. I looked around the office in awe. The interior design was sleek, and there was even a cafe. It was also in a good location. Let's go downstairs. What you ordered is in the parking lot. Park Soo-hik smiled. I went downstairs with him to pick up the bike I ordered before. Oh, is that it? Once I arrived at the parking lot, I saw a sparkly motorcycle taking up 2 parking spaces.
By the way, Hajin, where did you get this puppy? She's adorable. Park Soo-yuk smiled like a dad looking at Evandel in his arms. Evandel was smiling brightly as she calmly leaned against his chest. Little did he know, Evandel was even cuter in her human form. Try contacting a pet adoption center. I replied half-heartedly and examined the bike. Augusta Vigilante. Masterpiece. High-rank monoframe. Weight reduction and reinforcement preservation. Reduces the weight of the vehicle and increases its speed. Reinforcement preservation prevents the weakness to strong impact that would result from weight reduction. Mana booster. Uses mana for instantaneous acceleration. It was labeled as a masterpiece even though it was a manufactured product. It was worth its cost, but its size made it cumbersome to bring along. Ah, Hajin, I have to go now. My employees are looking for me. Oh, okay. I'll see you later then, Hyung. See you. Luckily, Park Soo-yuk had to leave. He put Evandel down and quickly ran off. Once he disappeared, I looked around the parking lot. As expected, there were security cameras. Desk. With no other choice, I picked up Evandel and got on the Augusta. I slowly drove to a nearby alley. Then I added a setting. Portability. By using Stigma's magic power, it can transform into a suitcase. 100 SP will be consumed. Thanks to having Stigma's magic power as a requirement, I only needed 100 SP for the modification. A vehicle was something I desperately needed for the next main story and also for the work I planned on doing. I hit save without hesitation. Let's see. I tried imbuing Stigma's magic power into the bike. The motorcycle creaked, dismantled itself, then reassembled into a suitcase form. I picked it up by the handle. It was heavy, at least 20 kilos, but with my strength, it wasn't a burden at all. This is great! Holding the suitcase in my hand, I muttered in satisfaction. Evendel stood on her hind legs and asked, "Hajin, Hajin, where are we going next?" "Let's go eat. How's steak?" "Steak?" Oh, right, she's never eaten steak before. It's really yummy. Yummy? Yeah, but first, transform back into human. I think it's okay now. Seoul. Cheongdam-dong intersection. Yu Yane was walking down the street with her mother, Jin Ye-jung, for the first time in a while. Take a good look. All this land will become yours in the future. Don't worry, I've already thought about how to use it. This cleanly arranged intersection was Jin Ye-jung's property. She was one of Korea's top real estate tribals and an extraordinary businesswoman who invested her rich farmer father's money to make billions of won. She not only owned Essence of the Straits Guild building, she also owned the buildings of Essence of the Straits businesses, like Essential Armory and Essential Insurance. There was a reason why Eugene Wang, the berserker, was like a child in front of his wife. Yes, I believe you, Yena. You're not a kid like your father. Dad isn't that bad. He's gotten better lately. Yuyene suddenly stopped and sniffed the air. A delicious smell had entered her nose. She glanced at her mother, then slowly looked around the intersection. In a nearby alley, there was a food stand selling spicy rice cakes, sundae, and tempura. Oh, I know that place. It was even featured on a TV show for being delicious. I want to try it. I want to try it. Yena? At that moment, Jin Ye-jung's cold voice rang out. Startled, Yu Yane turned back to her mother. Jin Ye-jung looked at the food stand Yu Yane was eyeing and furrowed her brows. Yena, don't tell me you haven't quit yet. Yes? Of course not. I'm not a child. I graduated from that a long time ago. Then why are you drooling? Yes? My mouth has been dry lately. Yu Yane quickly averted her gaze elsewhere. At that moment, her eyes widened. Eh? She saw someone familiar. What are you talking about? We have many things to do today. We have to inspect the area and meet with the occupants. You will inherit this place, so you need to know what's going on. Mother, there's something I need to... Quiet! Follow me! Jin Ye-jung snatched Yu Yane's wrist. Mom, really? Ah! As Jin Ye-jung had lived a tough life of her own, Yu Yane couldn't win against her strength and was dragged away.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like the video. Have a suggestion? Let me know in the comments.